Hello and welcome to this very special outdoor edition of your favorite program, Planet Rise on Canal de English. In today's edition of the program, we are coming to you from the upstream of the Leke Creek in Bonaberi, Douala for municipality. And in today's edition of the program, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be presenting to you a plant. It's called the water hyacinth. If you look just behind me, you find the plant. Well, it might look very beautiful, but this plant can be very dangerous to aquatic life. When we come back, we'll meet our guest, an expert that has been working to transform this sort of course into a blessing. Stay with us. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're on to Planet Rise on Canal de English, your environmental TV program that sort of looks at problems facing the environment and also proposes solutions. In today's edition of the program, just like I announced, we are going to be meeting an expert in wetlands management. He is a coordinator of the Watershed Tax Group, an NGO that is based in Douala that has been working for years to transform the water hyacinth plant, to sort of valorize the water hyacinth plant into other useful items. He's no other than Mr. Chi Napoleon Foba. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation on Planet Rise.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm up to the task.
Yeah. I'm really very excited about today's edition of the program because we are doing it from a natural environment which actually reflects, you know, the general idea behind this program, Planet Rise. Just to start, I would like you to tell me, when you look at the plant water hyacinth, what are some of the properties in this plant that makes it so dangerous for aquatic life?
Yeah, the first property is that it's a floating plant. It floats on the surface of water. When it floats, it also grows and spreads. Spreading simply means it prevents sun rays from reaching the phytoplanktons. Okay. That is like food for fish. Okay. And so its spread prevents food for fish. That is very, very important. And when it spreads again, it blocks the creeks and eventually blocks navigation. So it prevents the canoes from navigating easily.
So it means that the presence of this water hyacinth, does it mean it can reduce the amount of fish that can be available for fishermen and of course for consumers?
Yes. Actually, what we're actually doing here is like restoring the functions of this ecosystem. In short, an ecosystem is what? You have plants, you have animals, and then you have the water, and then the soil. All of that interacts together with all the living things, and they form what we call an ecosystem. And so the water hyacinth comes in now like a threat, like an enemy. It starts breaking some of the functions. For example, if fish cannot reproduce because it lacks oxygen, then you are taking out fish out of that system, meaning that for example, the snakes that depend on fish will not survive, and then eventually the man that depends on fish will not survive, or the birds that depend on fish will not survive. So it's like you've just cut part of the food chain, and that is why we are removing the water hyacinth. We're clearing it.
I think we're going to have time to discuss how your NGO has been working to be able to eradicate this water hyacinth, because even when you look behind me, you realize that this was an area that was actually very much infested with the water hyacinth. It almost covered the entire surface area, but you guys have been working to remove it, and of course, interestingly to transform this water hyacinth into works of art and to use it also as compost for agriculture. But before we come to what you have been doing, I would like to find out from you, how can you describe the position that has been occupied by water hyacinth in different water blocks here in the nation's economic capital, Douala?
Actually, we're in the Wuri Basin. Okay. Yes, the Wuri, the name of Cameroon comes from the Wuri River, because the Portuguese came and saw the prawns, And so they call it the River of Prawns. The reason why they call it the River of Prawns was because at that time the water was very, very clear. You could actually stand by the water side and then you see the prawns, that transparency. Yes, but with all these activities, the water hyacinth has come with its own trouble. You have sedimentation, you have the different pollutions that take place in the Douala estuary. They've come to make the water not really clear, and so it's not good for swimming, it's not good for drinking, it's not good for, it doesn't play all the other role.
Functions that
yes, and then it gets back to us trying to restore these functions, so that someday this water should be drinkable. Somebody should be able to swim there, and so it gets back to restoring the ecosystem. But you just mentioned about threats. Yes, there are other threats.
Okay.
There are other threats that maybe you may also want to know. Yes, one of the biggest threats to this water body is that it's like it sucks water. Really, when you have sun, there is what we call transpiration.
Okay.
So you have the water hyacinth spread it on this water, surface water like that. Means when the rays of the sun hits it, it can transform all of this water into, I mean, you say there's evaporation, so it can evaporate everything and then dry away this water body. In the camps, when you go to the mid, but the sandbanks means that it has dried the whole water body. And so if you don't quickly remove it, it can just dry this water body. There will be no swimming, there will be no fish. And so you come and meet this place completely dead.
Dry because of the water.
Yes, and now maybe I just inform you, the reason why the government is intervening in this project is very, very strategic. If you realize all over Cameroon now, they're building a lot of dams because of the shortage of energy. Yes, the ports authority, most of the ships, when they come, they anchor right far there because the water depth does not permit them to actually anchor in the Wuri. Maybe that's even the reason why we are extending to Kribi. It is because when it gets rot, it forms mud and then blocks, decreases the water depth. And so there's no port authority functioning very well, and so the economy is slow. Most of the ships, they go to other countries, maybe Angola and so on. So we are removing it upstream so that we reduce the impact of mud at the downstream, and so the port authority will function. There will be water to turn the turbines for electricity, and that generates energy. There will be fish, and then the economy boom because we need energy, especially for the projects of the greater ambition.
Many years ago, the organization, the Watershed Tax Group, launched this project known as the Harvesting and Valorization of the Water Hyacinth Plant. Before we come to talk about practically what this project actually entails, some of the activities that have been carried out by this project, I would like to find out from you, what were the surrounding circumstances that made you and your team to say we need to do this?
Very tricky and important. We actually started working in the Wuri Basin as 2004. We came in the context of an IUCN-funded project to work on mangroves. And so in Bonandale, where our office is, we talked to the community. To them, they said, okay, mangroves, it's a big problem. It's a big threat to mangrove. But what they see as a bigger threat is the water hyacinth. They say a strange plant that has some color. So we say, who brought the plant? They said a woman came and planted it. It was beautiful, and then later on it spread. And so as we tried forcing them to buy the idea of a new project that is funded, most of the women, they said, no. Solve this water hyacinth project, then you would have solved all the other. So it caused us to transform the project now, and then we created a small component, and then got the University of Chang and some students to now work on the composting of water hyacinth. That was done. We used it, and then the women experimented it with pepper. They went to Santa and then saw how cabbages are being grown, and so they used the water hyacinth to improve the soil. That was at a smaller scale. But now government realized that it was a magic solution. So they started funding. Central government, when I say government, Ministry of Environment,
Okay.
they started funding us seriously. Built a hangar, got boats, got life jackets, and then came in now. And later on, in the later years, there was this decentralization, and so the government is still funding it, but now through the councils, so that the removal, the valorization should be at the level of the council, appreciated by the population. I can remark that the other day when we were clearing here, fishermen came and gave us food. I said, you don't know what you've done to our lives. We are having big fishes here. It may not be measured in terms of cash, but you have done a wonderful job. They just did this spontaneously. And so you can imagine the impact of this project, yes, for other basins of Cameroon.
We are going to talk more. We are going to talk more about the impact of this program, of this particular project, much later. But practically, what does this project entail? What do you do to get this water hyacinth out of the water?
Yeah, the first thing is whenever we get into a community, because this water hyacinth is found in several communities. Upstream you have Hyacinth, you have Fico in the Bonalea Council, and then you have other communities. In Douala 4 it is there. Whenever we arrive at the community, we approach the chieftaincy, we get the chief. Usually they always do some libations. It's not easy to just walk in water like that. They'll tell you that the mami water, all those. If you try, you will not succeed. So the first activity that we usually do is we give libation. We tell the gods we are going to walk here.
I mean, that's part of
yes, and then there are areas where we've gone and escaped. We're supposed to walk around Paco Vita, but when we made our inquiry, they said there's a big snake there that is like a totem. It's somebody. If you go there and you don't talk to the person very well, it can wrap all of you or kill somebody. And so we appease the gods, and then they give us the passage, and then we start walking. Yes, last year we walked downstream here, and we actually met a very big python, but it didn't disturb us because one of us talked to the python. He actually told the python, we've not come to kill you, we've not come to disturb you. We are just removing this grass so that the population should have more, their transportation should be facilitated, and so we are not touching you. So we actually walked, and the python was turning around like that. It didn't bite any person. Even here, there was a crocodile that was turning around somebody's leg, and then people were wondering, they thought that we were magicians. Yes, and so that is the other part of these challenges. And you realize that since 2004, we are the only NGO doing it. Government gives it to us like mutual agreement. It's a public tender, but they know that we have the intrigues. Yes, and they don't want that somebody should, in the course of removing it, die or have a problem. And so those are the first steps. After that, we do the harvesting. There's a harvesting team that we have constituted. After the harvesting team, you have the valorization team that does now the composting, and then the cutting of the good stem, drying, and then you also have transformation by the artists in what we call an art gallery. I mean, it's a beautiful piece. It was inaugurated by the prefect, and then the mayor, and then the minister of culture. We are going to visit it, and you see the different arts objects that the different artists in this division that are doing. So it's like money now, and later on we'll talk about sand also.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, we're going to take a quick little break, and when we come back, we'll meet a technician who has been very much involved in the harvesting and valorization of the water hyacinth. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're still watching Planet Rise on Canado English. Like I announced earlier on, we are going to be meeting this time around a technician. He's the head of the harvesting unit at the Watershed Task Force, the NGO that has been transforming water hyacinth into something useful. Hello and welcome, Mr. David Epe.
Thank you, Madze.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show. And let's just go straight to the point. I mean, as the head of the harvesting unit, what does your job entail? Tell us practically what you do.
I am in charge of the harvesting of water hyacinths. I am the national coordinator because I intervene in different water areas where water hyacinths is found. I have been working on this project for 8 years as supervised harvesting and transformation. It depends on the area. Sometimes we use a canoe to harvest. When I am told where to work, that is when I decide which method I will use for harvesting.
Okay. Now, what are some of the challenges in your job? Getting this water hyacinth from the water?
The biggest challenge is the blockage of waterways by the water hyacinths. As a son of a fisherman and as a fisherman myself, my biggest challenge is getting rid of this invasive plant so as to make the water navigable, because once water is blocked, we cannot harvest fish.
We have been removing this water hyacinth. Like, what are some of the impacts? The people that live around here who do fishing, what do they tell you about the effects of the work?
The people around appreciate our work. The river has become navigable, unlike in the past, and fishermen are happy. The people who live around here equally testify that they have less mosquito. The place is much cleaner.
Okay, thank you so much for coming. And ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, I would like to invite you to watch practically how the water hyacinth is being taken off from the water and later transformed to compost for agriculture and equally used for arts and culture. You don't want to miss. Stay with us.
For a long time now, we're throwing the earth without thinking of tomorrow. We've been playing a game, scoring in our goals, scoring in our no. The frog doesn't drink up all the water up on the where it is. Let's reflect and save the earth now. There's no way we can live without protecting the earth. But there are ways man can live without destroying the earth. Let's reflect and save the earth now. Our planet's warming up every day. The coast ice melting every day. The ocean's rising every day. Our planet needs you all and sundry to plant more trees and save the earth. Our climate's changing every day. We are sitting on a time bomb, time bomb. We are sitting on a time bomb every day.
Yes, long ago, I treated.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're still watching the special edition of Planet Rise on Canal de English with focus on the valorization of the plant water hyacinth. We are right now at the Arts Gallery, and I'm going to give you the rare opportunity to see some of the beautiful works of art that was done from the plant water hyacinth. Let's look at the year 2018. I mean, how much quantity of water hyacinth have you been able to remove, and how has this impacted the lives of people living around this area, the economy, culture, and everything?
We've removed, we've cleared 18 hectares of water hyacinth manually. And in the Douala 4 council, we had 12 hectares to remove. And then in the Douala 5 council, 6 hectares. So we've cleared all of that, transformed it into compost that will get into agriculture. And then you have it there at the gallery. We also produce the art object that will be sold and displayed. But in terms of the local community, you have the fishermen. I will assure you that around Lobe, where we were, fishermen came giving us food to thank us that they've suddenly found fish the quantity of fish has increased.
Okay.
So they have more money in their pocket, they have employment. And then the fish, you also have in the Douala 5, you have now the sand extractors. Suddenly they've just found some employment. Instead of taking the road to the desert, to Libya, to Europe, you have them about 300 at one spot.
Who are now digging sand because
transporting
the water is now free,
to the council, and then they are fine. They are fine. And then there's
in terms of electricity and ecotourism.
Yes, in terms of tourism, you have boats can now circulate freely, and then with a lesser time. And then electricity, you have more water will get into the turbines and generate more electricity for Cameroon. And energy means the economy, it means the greater achievement projects. And then you also have the ports authority. Remember the Douala ports produce a lot of income. So with the removal of this water hyacinth, less moth, because it produces moths. When it rots downstream, it increases, it impacts, it generates moth, and so the port has to remove it so that the water depth should increase, and in that case it can dock bigger ships. So they are very happy. If they used to spend 7 billion for dredging, today they may be spending 5, and so 2 billion is gained.
Because the water hyacinth has been removed, and now the water table has maybe increased.
Yes.
And now making the activity much more easy.
Yes, and we are also in the Congo Basin. I mean, Cameroon is showcasing this project in the Niger Basin. They've called us and say it's wonderful. And so the Watershed Task Group is a member of the national platform for the Congo Basin. We are always in that meeting, regional platform, trying to show how we also remove this in the Congo Basin, which is second in the world after Amazon. So you can see how this project has impacted Cameroon, a local community, and then even touching now on Africa.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chi Napoleon, for talking to us. It's really been a wonderful edition, having gone around with you, seeing the water hyacinth from the natural environment and seeing how they are being transformed. Thank you so much. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue with a tour of the art gallery. You don't want to miss it. Stay with us. Once more, televiewers, and welcome. Now, joining me to talk about what we see in this very beautiful art gallery is one of the artists in this place. He's called Mr. Christian P. Dipogo. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, just quickly tell us what you have and how we're able to get this beautiful painting.
Ok, ici, nous avons entre les mains la première phase qui est la jacinthe d'eau à base de laquelle nous travaillons pour effectuer cela. Donc, nous commençons par la recueillir dans les fleuves, dans les mangroves, afin de la sécher, comme vous voyez. Et ensuite, nous passons à sa phase définitive, séchage, puis habillement en peinture, coulage, afin de trouver un décor et définir en fait l'esprit qu'on veut apporter sur un tableau comme vous voyez actuellement. Ça c'est fait à base de cette jacinthe d'eau qui commence comme ça, séchage, et puis on la met sur le toile et puis on la peint. Par exemple, c'est une toile qu'on retrouve en dimension 110 x 110 cm, qu'on retrouve par exemple à 150 000 prix taxé, mais qui est dans un prix qu'on peut prendre favorablement même à 100 000. Mais comme tout le monde, toute chose a une discussion, on peut débattre et tout, mais bon, ça c'est déjà fait.
Create this work of art. They combine it with other designs to produce what we have.
À base de différentes couleurs, on la peint, on la sèche et on la colle, vous voyez, et puis on représente encore un autre design qui définit, et puis ça c'est fait avec du sable, toujours avec la jacinthe, comme vous voyez.
Okay, well, this is so interesting. I mean, what about the back?
Ici, c'est la même chose parce que ça c'est un tapis, comme vous voyez, un tapis de salon fait toujours à base.
This is the carpet made from water hyacinth. We use a fresh water hyacinth. We dry it and produce this carpet.
Et puis vous voyez le résultat qu'on comme vous voyez, et puis partout comme ça là, et puis on continue toujours à développer, toujours dans le même sens. Toujours aussi par ici, ça c'est un peu unique avec les...
This is a unique painting. We collect a complete water hyacinth, dry it with its roots, stems and leaves and place it on this board. Then paint it. As you see, this can never get bad.
Ça veut dire que comme elle est là, elle ne peut jamais pourrir parce qu'il y a des produits qui sont passés sur ça et ça reste comme ça.
Well, I mean, this is really beautiful. Maybe Mr. Mike just zoom a bit on it. This one is still a beautiful painting that was done with the water hyacinth. But you see that unlike the others where it was just a stem that was used, the entire plant was used. From the roots, you can see the roots here, you have the stems, and you have the leaves, which were dried and then put on this board and then painted. I think this is really a beautiful work of art. I love it.
Comme vous voyez à l'intérieur, pour ranger les documents, toujours fait en sachet.
This is a bag made out of water hyacinth. We dry it and plate it to produce this bag where you can put your documents. We have handbags made for women.
C'est ça, et puis ça c'est tranquille. Tout ça, ça commence comme ça, on sèche et puis on a le résultat comme ça, là, comme vous voyez. Partout là, vous voyez, il y a des sacs à main. Oui, voilà des sacs à main pour les femmes. Et on porte ça comme ça. Tout ça, en fait, nous on travaille uniquement beaucoup plus avec la jachenne d'eau qu'on recueille dans les fleuves. Tout ça sort de là. Nous avons les différents designs de sacs, comme vous constatez. On travaille beaucoup plus avec la poule. Un produit qui permet en sorte que la jacelle ne peut pas se gâter, se détériorer rapidement. Donc ça peut rester comme ça, là tu nettoies, pas avec de l'eau, mais comme tu peux nettoyer avec un chiffon sec tranquille et tout, chaque jour, et puis tu n'as pas de soucis.
Wow.
Ça.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tipopo.
Yes, it's my name. Merci, c'est moi qui te remercie.
Well, it's a pleasure having you on Planet Rise.
Ok, merci de venir, d'avoir fait un soir à la galerie Tipopo. Et à la prochaine fois.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. I mean, we've come into the end of your very favorite program, Planet Rise on Canada English. I mean, it's been an exciting edition from where we saw the water hyacinth in their natural habitat, from where they're being collected and transformed into different items. Of course, we saw how they were being transformed into compost. And of course, we've equally spoken to fishermen who have testified that the fact that most of this water hyacinth have been removed from the water has now led to an increased amount of fish in the rivers. And you can bear testament with what we have here. I mean, I have my bag just right here. Yes, this bag was made from 100% water hyacinth that was dried. I mean, this is something that was once considered as poison, but is now acting as a blessing as it's been transformed. And of course, it's also a source of income from the artists who work in this gallery here. It's been a beautiful ride on this very special edition of your program, Planet Rise. Thank you so much for watching, but of course, we invite you to stay tuned for programs continue on Canada English. But for now, goodbye. God bless.